And we are live. Today on the Uncensored Entrepreneurs, it is my privilege to bring together a few people that are part of a collaborative book launch coming up. In fact, you can pre-order your book. We'll find out a little bit more about that. We have a few of the authors available today live, so we're excited about that. But this book is called Be a Glow Stick Girl. It's a powerful collaboration. 16 remarkable women have come together to share their inspiring stories of resilience, healing, and transformation. And just like a glow stick, they have turned their brokenness into a shining light, illuminating their paths and leading the way for others. So I know you will be touched. Tune in. We'll be back in just a couple seconds.
And we're back. I love you. I love being behind the scenes with you guys because we just crack up. And let me just tell you, Robert, I am so sorry. I love you to death. You're my work husband. You are gonna need some like testosterone today.
Well, just like all good men, I'm going to sit back and just observe and listen, right? Listen intently. And by the way, just really quick, and then I'm passing this mic back to you, Tina. I had the privilege of jumping on some of your pre-launch earlier today, and I heard from Cora and Linda. And I just, I'm already touched, right, and inspired. I can't wait to read the book myself. So I just wanted to say, even though this is a lot in regards to this remarkable path and transformation for women in regards to their breakthrough stories, I know that so many other men, thousands of other men, will be touched by this story. And if anything, we can be in a better place and be more tentative to the partners that we have in our lives. So thank you.
Namaste.
Oh, she said okay, so as you know, I am Tina Torres, self-publishing expert. But and you guys all know my story. 5 years ago, lost everything. Well, about a year or so ago, a few years ago, somebody said that I was a glow stick. And I don't know whose phone is off or on echo, but we just need to mute those phones if we can. But somebody said that I was a glow stick. And at first I didn't know what that meant. And I said, huh? And they were like, Tina, you know a glow stick, right? This glow stick is not working. I bought a box of these because I've been popping them all day. But he was like, Tina, in order for you to be a glow stick, you have to pop it almost in half in order for it to shine brightly. And when I heard that, I was like, oh, wow. So like, Tina, in order for you to be as bright as you were 5 years ago, you had to almost lose everything. And here I am now. Today is the official launch of Be a Glow Stick Girl. You can order your copy today. And I brought together 16 amazing women who were able to share their stories of brokenness and share their stories of being broken and then shining as bright as they are, just like they are today. And Christina, my co-host, is one of the authors. We have some authors coming and going today on the show. So, oh my gosh, thank you guys so much. It is amazing. You can go to beaglowstickgirl.com, grab your copy today. We are having our bestseller day, so I appreciate my co-host, Robert, and Christina, and amazing Starr for bringing my people on today and for sharing and being the biggest supporters. I just absolutely love each and every one of you. And I just want to say thank you.
Well, Tina, first of all, thank you so much for bringing us all together, man. I think so often we forget. We go through social media and we see everybody's highlight reel. We see who they want us to see, right? Because I definitely know the information and the story that I shared in the book is not something I've ever shared online. It's not something that I was ready to share online, but it was something that I knew needed to be shared with other women that have been through what I've been through, right? Because over the last couple of years, it's been really difficult for us all to connect, really difficult for us to connect in person. And I think, often we don't talk about, and sorry guys, if anybody is not speaking right now, do you just want to mute just so we don't have any feedback? I apologize. But I think so often we talk about all of the good things and we want to lead and we want to put our best foot forward. But the truth of the matter is, it's the broken that become the bold. It's the people that have gone through adversity and challenge and overcome those things that it really truly inspire, right? You can look at somebody really successful, and Tina and I were just talking about this. Often we put really successful people on a pedestal and we're like, wow, look at what they've created. And we forget that they're just human beings just like us that have been through some really challenging times. Because I'm telling you, it's not just once I've hit rock bottom, it's a few different times where I haven't wanted to get out of bed, right? I haven't wanted to do what's next. I've just said, this is too much. I'm done. I can't do it anymore. And then there's something deep inside of you that will literally pull you through the mud, whether it is your children, your husband, people that you serve, a team, right? At some point, you're like, I cannot sit in this anymore and I've got to do something about it. I've got to take total and absolute ownership of my life and do something more because I was made for more. And so I'm really excited to hear from Linda and Cora today, hear a little bit about their story and why this project was so important to them. So if you ladies want to hop on and share, we'd love to hear from you.
Let's do Cora.
That would be me.
That would be me, Corbin.
First of all, thank you for having me on the show. This is absolutely phenomenal, and I'm so excited. And I see it streaming on my group, and like this is just one more brick in my foundation. And thank you, Tina, for the opportunity. Do you want me to say anything specific, Miss Tina?
First tell me what be a glow stick girl means to you. Like, what does being a broken glow stick or a glow stick mean to you?
Well, it's funny because Christina was mentioning the highlight reel, and on our live stream earlier, that's where I was going with it. I was like, you pop on social media, and I mean, I learned this way back when I started in, network marketing. I'm like, it's just a highlight reel. My whole life, I've just really stood against, like, I will try not to swear, all the BS out there online.
We swear on the show.
I don't want to get us banned. I'll be the one to get us kicked off. Trust me. But it's just, at elementary school, like, the cliques and this, and it was just, all the BS. And it's just like, and then throughout life, I've been told that I'm too much, I'm too loud, I'm too opinionated, my hair's all the things. And when I opened my coaching business, the biggest thing that I had to learn was what my message was, what I stood for, and like what I stood against. And I was like, this one I know, you know what I mean? So coming out of alcoholism for so long, and in my book, it tells the story of my most broken moment was, when I was sitting on my brand new gorgeous apartment, had a job, I made good money. I mean, outside looking in, my life was a fairy tale. But on the inside, I was a hot freaking mess, just trying to get by every single day, not fall apart, not lose my marriage, not lose my job or my health, all the things. And like Christina, that wasn't my only thing in life. I've been through multiple things. And so it's just like by sharing the story, by sharing the trauma, by sharing the authenticity and the darkest pieces of ourselves is, I think, how we can really, really connect. And like I mentioned earlier, it's not just about me. My story sharing is not about me. It's not, hey, look at me. It's, hey, world, look what happens. Mm-hmm. And like, look what we can get out of it. Look how we can like meet up, and like, it's camaraderie. And I'm all divine feminine and masculine. But,
Robert.
Yeah, Robert.
It's hard. It is hard, when you are being so vulnerable, especially if you already have made it, because you feel like if you tell people your vulnerability or what you're struggling with, now they're not going to want to do business with you. Now they're not going to want to hire you, or now they're going to think that you're desperate or anything like that. But I've seen so many times that when all of us are posting on Facebook and being vulnerable, Christina is like the biggest one of them yet, because just recently she went on there and she told everybody about her miscarriages, and now that she's having a baby and what happened and how she got through that, and it went viral. And she didn't go viral because of a product she's selling or because of this or because of that. She's been viral twice, and one of them was bringing her family to freaking Cabo, and the other one was having miscarriages, and now that she's having another baby. So both of those are being vulnerable. So when you're vulnerable, that's when people start relating to you. That's when people start wanting to do business with you. That's when people are like, you know what? If she can do it, I can do it.
And damn, is that scary. By the way, that is like one of the most scary things, is to be vulnerable and put yourself out there on social media, because there is a mob of people when you go viral that are going to see it your way or not see it your way. You're going to get multiple pieces of feedback. So you have to be fairly strong to be able to put yourself out there. But I'm going to tell you something. If you don't do it, you don't connect with the people that truly need you. And I've learned over the last few years that those pieces of me that were broken are the ones that actually give other people strength. They're the ones that inspire them and motivate them to do more. And even though those moments can like literally bring me to tears very easily when I think about them, they're the things that shaped who I am as a leader. They're the things that shaped who I am as a mother, as a wife. And if I didn't go walk through the fire, right? If I didn't walk through the fire and rise from the ashes, then I wouldn't be standing here today being able to help other women out there that are going through the same thing. And often we don't realize, like Tina, you were saying earlier today, that everybody has a story. Everybody has a story, whether you think you have a story or not. And it's those that have the courage to share those things out there that are the ones that super connect with everybody else, right? And one thing that I learned a while back, and I was reading a really great book by Brene Brown, and she said, when you shine a light on shame.
Goes her book recommendation for the day.
Yeah, I know. But like this is why I think books are so powerful, right?
Yes.
Because they will literally change your way of thinking. They will change, your path in life. And she said something so powerful to me. And she said, to me, right? Like she was speaking to me in that book, right?
Renee was speaking to you.
Yeah, but that's how you feel, right? And she said, when you shine a light on shame, on the things that you are shameful of, nobody can use them against you. Most people are out there trying to hide all the things they're shameful of or embarrassed or give them anxiety or like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. What if you had the courage to share those things? Say, hey, I went through this. This was shitty. Like this was really bad, but I went through it. I got through it. And here we are on the other side. You would help so many people. And so that's why I'm so excited. And Starr, I also, I would love to have you also speak on this, because I know that you've been through things as well in business as an entrepreneur, right? And be able to share that piece of like, hey, look, we all go through places where we're not quite sure we're going to see tomorrow. We're not quite sure that things are going to continue on down the line, right? But how we move through those things, how we build character during those things are what define us in the end, right?
Yes. And I just put a post out the other day, I think it was yesterday or the day before, about sharing your story with your audience, because people are going to resonate with you and the things that you've been through. A lot of us offer the same type of offerings and the same type of, business structure, but your people, and they're going to relate to you based on your own unique experiences, based on who you are. Some people who love Tina may not like me, or we might have some of the same, raising hands, but it's based on our journey. So sharing some of the challenges that you may have gone through, overcoming divorce. Some of us here, Tina and myself, we've gone through divorce, having kids, maybe homelessness, like a bunch of different challenges that we've all faced are what people actually connect with, because they can see that, okay, she's been where I was and she overcame that. Even if you're still going through your journey, that's fine. You're still one step ahead of where these people may be. And Christina, I've had so many challenges. Being an inner city youth, my parents are immigrants to the United States. So I'm a first generation America. I grew up in crime-ridden neighborhoods. So for me, like, just admiring other people who lived middle class was like a huge goal for me. So I've definitely overcome adversity, even in entrepreneurship, having businesses where they've been super successful, and then you have to shut them down because the product is no longer selling. I did really well on Etsy in the past, and then all of a sudden that business just crumbled because people were no longer interested in that product. But
Yeah.
being able to be resilient and move forward for your family, for yourself, is so, so vital.
And it is true. Everybody has a story, and people are going to want to hear you and your story because, just like she said, they're going to relate to you. Linda, tell us a little bit about your story and your chapter in Be a Glow Stick Girl.
Well, first of all, you guys are my people. I just love everything that you just shared. I connect with it so much. But to answer your question, Tina, like this part of my story, when you came to me and you invited me to be part of this amazing project with these women, the story I thought about was a story that I was hiding. Now, for years, especially when I transitioned as a financial advisor about 8 years ago and got into feeling called to coach. So I was coaching and consulting. I was telling my story, but we all have a story that is still hidden. And there was reason to hide that piece of my story, and I don't regret it. I actually just did a story on Facebook about this. Like I don't regret that, but I also realized like how emotional it is to put my truth to paper. But the story that I shared with everyone was a moment after I went through 12 years of a court system, from family court to Supreme Court to the appeals court. Single mom since my son was 4.5, went through emotional abuse. I really struggled. I really struggled for all those years while having a financial business, a financial advising business. My son goes off to college. I'm like, I made it. Created this life for him. But at that moment, that's when my inner world started to break down. And the short version of it was I was diagnosed with PTSD from all the stress, all the fear over all those years. So with that, I was losing my house. With that, at 2 a.m, banging on my door, my car was taken away. So I was at a point where I was like, kind of feeling like a victim and going like, why now? I just overcame all this.
Yeah.
And I just wanted women to know that I lived in a lot of shame during that time. That, Christina, you had just talked about that. It's like that shame, and I felt very, very alone and hopeless. And before, when I fought through anxiety or depression or the court system, I fought the court system throughout the United States, but I did it for someone else. This moment I shared, I had to decide that I was going to fight for me now. And I share my story of the triumph of coming back from that, coming back from, you're losing your car, losing your house, not having any money, going to a food bank. I was sleeping with a flashlight because I didn't have electricity. But on the outside, my world looked perfect, and it wasn't. So I share that so that somebody can be inspired to pick up the pieces, no matter how many times they've fallen, no matter how old they are. And, you were talking about like, what does glow stick mean to me? And I think of it not just getting back to who I was, but really getting back to who I am. And in that whole process, I got to know who Linda was. I got to know what was important to her, what meant, what her soul was calling for. So it wasn't getting back to who I was. And not that that would have been a bad place to start, considering how far down I fell. But I really feel aligned to the woman I truly am at that soul level. And that's what I inspire women to do today.
I love to read your chapter, Linda, because it was such an inspiration to read. I was fortunate enough to be able to read all the chapters before they got turned in. And some of them were just simply so heartfelt and so emotional that even I was like, I already know what's going to be at the end. Like, I already know the happy ending, but I'm still, in that place. Years ago, I was at a Christian women's conference, and somebody said, Tina, if they asked everybody, it was about 250 women, who are you? And everybody's like, oh, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a, a lawyer, I'm a this, I'm a that. They're like, what if we took all of those hats away? You're no longer a mom, you're no longer a wife, you're no longer a lawyer, you're no longer this, you're no longer that, all that titles that we have and we give to ourselves. Who are you? And nobody could say it. Nobody could tell who they were. And I was like, oh, wow. And that always stuck with me because as women, we identify with us being married and having kids and our title of our, our business or CEO or whatever we are, we acknowledge that's who we are. But who are we without all those titles?
And if I can just add to that, Tina, sometimes it's a gift. Not that I want to go relive that moment, right? But sometimes it's a gift because I had to lose all those titles. I lost my financial advising title. I lost my single mom title. I lost my court warrior title. That all kind of came to an end. So it gave me the privilege of really getting to know who I am and who I want to become. So sometimes it's a gift. I know it doesn't look like that in it, but I believe it's always a gift.
Yeah.
I believe it's always a gift.
I believe that 5 years ago, I had all this taken away from me. All my titles taken away from me, and it did a number on me. I fell into a bad depression, which is what my chapter is all about, and how I got through it, and how I was able to shine brightly so good now. I have another one of our authors on today is Janet Favela. She is a good friend, old friend of mine. I've known her since she was like 19 years old. We've done many businesses together. She is a huge real estate agent in San Antonio, Texas. Janet, welcome to Uncensored Entrepreneurs.
Hi.
She's like, hi. Janet, tell us a little bit about your story. Be a glow stick girl.
Got it. So I brought it down to one of the what I call pivotal moments of my life. So of course, going through an ugly divorce, there's so many different chapters and so many different seasons that you can take it to, and you can go on and on pretty much forever. I could have wrote the whole 16 chapters about that one day. And I took it down to just that one moment because I feel like within real estate, I've had a lot of successful people tell me like, some point in their life, there was one thing, one instance that happened that changed everything else and the perspective of how they looked at everything else. And for me, it was that moment when I was in Orlando, Florida with my 2 little babies. And I'm there, about to have the best time ever for them. And the night before, I had just found out about the affair and everything with my husband and the neighbor. And so my whole head is like spinning, right? And yet I'm keeping it together for them. And I thought, okay, things can't get worse than this. And getting there, I learned quickly that things got extremely worse. I went, from having a bank account to having 0 in a matter of minutes. And so at that moment, I think that's a very important moment in my life because that at that moment, the way I felt that day was like, I never want to ever in my life, no matter who's in my life, no matter what my circumstances are, no matter what I do for a career, I never want to be in this moment where someone can have complete me screwed. I'm literally screwed. And so if it wasn't for my upbringing and, my quick thinking, I don't know if I would have made it back home safely or had carried out for my daughter. So that I captured there to that one moment. And I love that, having gone something like that, now I can come out of the with a lot of experience and just help others that are going through it.
So we're having there's a little bit of sound breakup with your audio, but at the end is she was able to come out of this amazing thing and stop going into that fight or flight mode, and she just went and started flying. And now she's one of the top real estate agents in San Antonio. She is a single mom of 3, and she's living her best life. And, watching you go and grow through all of this that you have gone through was simply amazing to watch, and not only to watch, but be a part of. So I'm so very proud of you, Janet, for putting your chapter in, and she's going to write her own book next year. And it's just going to be an amazing experience to watch and to read her whole journey from brokenness to being able to shine bright.
I love that, Tina. Not everybody talk at once, okay? Not everybody talk at once. Usually we're cutting each other off and we're fighting over who's talking first. And but it's one of those things, Tina. And I just, again, I'm so grateful for the opportunity to share these things, because often we don't talk about the tough stuff, right? And so, Robert, you're sitting there listening to all these females, and I know that you've got a really great marriage and kids and all that kind of stuff. But some of the perspective that you get probably as a husband, what I get really jealous of when it comes to men, is that they have this ability to make decisions without emotions a lot of the time. And like, I'm not saying that you don't have emotions, Robert, but a lot of the times they make better business decisions, or they make but they do, and they make decisions quicker than females do, because we get hung up on the little things. And I really feel like the time that we get hung up on the things that make us emotional are such a waste of time. Even though we have to process that emotion, we have to move through it, and it is like a muscle, right? I find that when I equate it to the gym and working out, like, we build our resiliency through going through adversity. We continue to lift weights by overcoming challenges and deciding to push through them, because we have a love for people, whether that is our family or the people that we work with around us. We have a love for them that is so strong, right? Like what Linda was saying, like, it was so easy for me to do things for other people, but what about me? Like, what about who I am? And I was just talking to Tina before this, and I have a tattoo on my foot that says, "What do you want?" And it's a constant reminder of, like, putting myself first, and what's going to be best for me is going to be best for everybody else around me. Because if I sacrifice me in this process, nobody else gets to be happy. Just ask my husband, okay? But Robert, in this sea of estrogen, my friend, I would love to hear your 2 cents on some of these stories, and what you're getting out of this.
Well, first and foremost, amazing stories. These testimonies they're all touching me. So once again, as I said earlier, I cannot wait to delve in to the book as well, and to be able to share that, right? I think there's so many people that need to hear these messages. So whether people are coming in live or people are going to be watching this later on a replay, really connect with the authors, their stories. You see that we've got beaglowstickgirl.com so that you can pre-order the book. All these things are important, but thank you. By the way, 27 minutes. 27 minutes. I've never sat for 27 minutes in silence. To be quite honest. So
it's coming 26, 27.
Yeah, I think Kelly would be very proud of me right now. But really, I mean,
like, I've never been stood up for 27
and I joke, right? I am an expert listener. That's why I'm good at my job. But I feel like, one thing I did want to point out when I hear all of these stories, one particular thing is I talk a lot about imposter syndrome, and we can actually impose that upon ourselves in the respect that when we're a coach, when we're a mother, when we're, whatever that title may be, whatever our craft may be, or our kind of like daily duties, if you will, we can at times feel like when we have failed at something that we're not worthy to continue down that path. And one thing in particular, this kind of took me back to a few years ago when here I am, I'm the mindset coach, right? I'm the heart set coach. I'm the person that helps people create this alignment in their life so that they can move forward and become their best self. And so when I was in my own broken state, I felt like, how in the world can I step up, to the plate and to be able to serve this community when I myself am broken? And just like all of your stories that you're sharing, it took me a little while to kind of reset once again, but I came to realize that it's in that broken state that you're even more qualified to be able to serve that community, right? It's these experiences in the stories, and it's that story of breakthrough and triumph that actually makes you more qualified, because there's going to be that community of individuals out there, whether it's somebody that's gone through divorce, that's someone that's gone through infidelity, somebody that's been homeless, somebody that's lost everything, right? That you have the ability now to connect with these individuals that are still sitting back there. And I know there's going to be people watching our show today or listening even later on the podcast, and they're going to be sitting back and thinking, I'm in that state. I can relate to these stories, and I just don't know how to pick myself up and to move forward. So again, I encourage those to reach out and connect with those that you feel this connection with. And just remember that regardless of imposter syndrome or limiting beliefs that we've imposed upon ourselves, you can push through this storm. And in most cases, almost every time in life, when you think back through this timeline of events, it's in those moments of brokenness that on the other side, there's so many amazing things waiting for you. Right. So that's basically my 2 cents. I'll go back into listening mode, but I really do enjoy this, because I'm telling you that although the book has been crafted for so many amazing women that need to hear these things, men as well. I mean, we sometimes in our brokenness, even though Christina, you mentioned that we can react fast, but we're also sometimes the last to become vulnerable, right? To actually show the broken state that we're in, because, we resemble this kind of identity of strength.
Yeah. That I think it is hard for men too, because men to be open and honest and vulnerable like that, because they were raised to don't talk to anybody, don't tell anybody your business. We don't go to counselor. And I don't know about, the other different races out there, but I know Hispanic and Black families, you don't talk about your business. You don't go to counselors. We don't tell nobody anything. We keep it to ourselves. We don't do nothing. And we're like, okay. So when you do, they're like, what are you doing? You're not supposed to tell anybody. Those are secrets that we keep to their grave.
That's right. That's right. And we were talking about this before, my family, when I first got into online marketing, when I first started showing up, they're like, oh, you're an oversharer. Like, oh, this is so uncomfortable for us. I'm like, well, it's not uncomfortable for me, because I know what's going to come out of this. And I'd actually like to call on Cora because of one of the comments she just made too, because she healed. Because I was broken, I'm the light that others see in a sea of darkness. And, I did a video on this the other day. Last week, we talked about hate and how to handle hate online. And I did a video that I wish got a lot more attention, because I think right now, in a world full of differences and discrimination and divide, right? If we all just took the time to heal our own shit, we all just took the time to go through our own trauma and be like, oh, I'm so sorry that you're going through that. This demographic of people, or I'm so this is your stuff. It's not my stuff. We don't need to fight about it. We don't need to get involved in it. Right. And when we can see others for who they truly are, broken and best, right? Because we're not perfect. We're human beings. We are good. We are bad. We are all of these things in between. When we can see others for what it is, we have so much more love and compassion for everybody else instead of being defensive. I know the moment that I am defensive or irritated in a conversation is because there's something inside of me that needs to be healed, or we need to shine a light on something and maybe investigate that. Which
they're like, oh, is something wrong? And you're like, no,
fine. Well, and often even with my husband, right? We'll have conversations and I'll go from this tone of talking to a 10, right? And I'm like, okay, so there's some trauma here that I'm not ready to talk about yet, but I'll come back to you in 30 to 45 minutes when I figured out what I actually want to talk to you about, instead of yelling a bit, about what the kitchen looks like, or yelling about a disagreement about when it comes to our daughter. I'm just going to take a minute to figure this out myself so that I can move forward. But I think, Cora, that's kind of what you were coming to. Hey, when we go through this kind of stuff, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Oh yeah. And I know the feeling when you feel like you have this amazing message to deliver, and you're like, I wish more people would join in the message. And I share a common theme of just, if we could just be ourselves, if we individually took responsibility to just be ourselves. And it's not about the I don't care what other people think attitude. It's more like, just, this is me. Whoever accepts me, cool. Whoever doesn't, that's okay too. And so when we come from that place of neutrality, it levels up our life, and it can show other people that they can level up their life as well. And it's just stepping into that, and even saying, like, if I'm about to like if my husband cut up carrots the wrong way the other day, like that was my mindset. Like literally, I was like, you cut the carrots wrong. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go for a walk.
You know what? They're just carrots. They were cut. You know what?
I was like, yeah, it was a whole, he's like, you're being crazy right now. I was like, I need to go for a walk. And, you know,
Who says your way of cutting carrots is not the correct way, or his way of cutting carrots is not the correct way, Cormay?
But also here's the perspective too, like in that moment, you know, having that the strength, first of all, to go for a walk, and also say thank you for cutting the carrots. Right?
Yes.
Even though that they're wrong.
We finally cooked them like 3 days later, and I was like, he's like, oh, now they're good enough. And I'm like, yeah, today's a much better day. So it's just,
Robert says, husbands, learn how to cut carrots so your wife won't cut you.
yeah, no kidding. And it's crazy. And there was one more thing I was going to, you said something else that, about coming out and talking about family stuff. Like when I came out and I talked about alcoholism and addiction, and my dad died when I was 14. He was only 42, which I'm 40. And I'm like, holy crap, that is young. You know, I remember when I was 14, I thought 42 was old as dirt. And I was like, oh,
Right? Like, you're so old.
And like, now I'm like, oh my God.
Now I'm 40?
And, you know, so now I'm like looking back, and I talked about how my father passed away, which he was intoxicated and he died in a car accident. And it was only him. And that's, you know, that's another moment in my life where I was broken, you know, and it's like, so another thing, and I didn't even heal that till I was older, but by sharing the story and talking about how my dad he was abusive when he was drunk, and he was this or that, you know, because of the addiction. And I firmly believe that it is genetic. I had a lot of my family freaked out on me, you know, like, of course, his siblings, like there was this perfect picture of my father, because he was good looking. He was extremely smart. He was very funny. Like he was the go-to guy. So how dare you share his dark secrets? But I'm like, I choose to share because of the facade that we can all put on, but behind the curtain, we're very wounded. So, yeah.
I like that we can all be vulnerable, you know, and I think you have to learn how to be vulnerable, and learn, like you say, you overshare. Well, okay, well, I don't tell everybody that I'm taking a shower and I'm going to the bathroom and all this. Well, most of us do not. Most of us do not. But your stories, yes, especially with us online entrepreneurs, you know, because like we've been talking about all morning, it's your story, whether good, bad, ugly, indifferent, that is going to relate to those people. That is going to be able to have those people stop the scroll, listen to what you have to say, and say, you know what, if she did it, I can do it. If he did it, I can do it. And, you know, Robert and I met during my struggle time. And I don't know if you know, Robert, at that time, how bad it was. But I was in a bad spot in that when I met you in San Diego many years ago.
Yeah, not necessarily, but I will say what's interesting, and that's what I love about, you know, this book, the community coming together, you sharing these testimonies, each of you, is that, you know, typically broken can identify broken. Have you ever noticed that in life? Like, you know, typically there's just like something that you become more intuitive to those that maybe have a sadness behind the smile. And so, so that in itself can be healing, right? As you're pulling together. Now, obviously you don't want to pull yourself into this dark hole together and stay there. It's a place where, you know, you need to lift each other up and to grow from that. But yeah, it was definitely a blessing in disguise for sure.
Yeah. Yes. And I related to all of your stories, like everything that you went through, all of you guys. I was like, oh my God, I've been through that. So thanks so much for sharing that, because when we're in those moments, sometimes it could feel so devastating to where you might even question your own life. Like, should I even be here? And I know people are in that state sometimes. So it's important for us to share that. You may feel that this is not normal. You may feel that this is so extreme, but other people have been there and they have been able to overcome it.
Yeah. I mean, in my
And they can
story,
lean on, and you can lean on people too, right? Like you learn that the community of people that you hold around you that hold you accountable are also the people that you can lean on in these times. And you know what? It can be uncomfortable to share your story. It can be, like Cora said, you know, like her family was like, how are you talking about this right now? But if you don't talk about those things, and that, by the way, is her experience, right? I'm sure that, you know, her mother went through a lot with her father being an alcoholic. I'm sure that she had her own emotions to process and her own filter in life and how all of that unfolded, right? Just like, you know, when my parents divorced, they had their own filter of what was going on in the world. And here's the thing, a lot of this stuff happens to us in childhood. A lot of these hurts, these traumas happen to us in childhood, and they shape who we are. But at some point in life, you wake up to the fact, or you grow up to the fact that, hey, your parents, they're just humans too, and they're doing the best with what they got, and so are all the people around you. Like even in moments of like terror, even in moments of conflict, like people are just doing the best with what they've got, the tools they have, the life they've been given, the experiences they've had. They're showing up in the best way possible. Sometimes that doesn't go well. Sometimes that comes across. And by the way, you know, Hispanic or not, Italians are the same way. Like you do not tell people our business.
yes,
You be quiet. You sit there and you don't say anything and you look good. Okay. And we don't talk about our problems and we don't tell the neighbors because, oh my God, what if they knew? Right. So I think that that culture, and maybe it was even that generation, right, that we were raised in, and there was like this generational trauma through many different layers that have been impressed upon us, that we have to grow through, that we have to break through, right? Like a glow stick, we have to break that chain of reaction in our lives, in our families' lives, those habits, right? Like when I see my daughter show up and say things that I've said, I'm like, oh, that's how I became this way, right? Like I used to be really upset. My dad was really hard on us as kids. Like everything had to be his way, and if it wasn't, it wasn't good enough. So I grew up in a place where I didn't feel good enough a lot of the time. And then I realized, oh, wait a second, this is just how he was raised. It was like the chain of command, and this is how he was raised. And then I treated my sister a certain way because of how he treated me. And I've had those conversations with my sister, like, hey, I'm sorry, that's not truly who I am. But it was just like the chain of command and how things kind of ripple affected out. And my dad and I, you know, have since built a relationship in my adulthood that I'm so grateful for, because there was a time that I didn't talk to him for a year. And I like truly questioned, is this somebody that I want in my life or not? And I couldn't, you know, when I actually sat down and thought about it, I was like, I can't imagine my life without him. I can't imagine him not meeting my future husband or my kids or any of those things, right? And so I made a decision to accept him for who he was, and that relationship has grown and blossomed, and he accepts me because, you know, much like Cora, I think it was Cora that you were saying before that, you know, as kids, when you have a big vision or you have a big heart or you're meant to do big things, people are like, you're too much. Like you need to. I was always told, Christina, be quiet. You're so loud. Like and like I'm still loud, by the way. That hasn't changed, no matter how much people
I
try to change me.
wonder how many of us were told they talk too much in class, or I don't know about you
Totally.
guys. You guys are all about the same age as me, but I used to have to write, I will not talk in class. I will not talk in class. I will not talk in class like 100 times.
But you realize that those people, like even Taylor Swift has a song called Mastermind, right? And in the lyrics, she talks about like none of the kids wanting to play with her. And like when I went through school, I was bullied from grade 2 on. None of the kids wanted to play with me. I had a hard time in high school. I didn't realize that it was the light that I was shining that was so bright. I always thought something was wrong with me. I
Yeah.
was like, why don't people like me? What's wrong with me? I don't understand. And I was made to feel like there was something wrong, and that's just how kids are, right? But truly what it came down to was this light, this soul is so bright, like all of you women that are in this book, and Robert, because we wouldn't be here without you, right? All of us have a light that is so bright that it becomes a little bit offensive or glary for people that don't want to see the light, that are happier being safe, that are happier playing it small, that are happier knowing who you used to be because it made them feel more comfortable, right? And so people will try and take you down a notch so that you don't grow and you don't excel and you don't become this good version, because it's a mirror that reflects who they are. And they're like, oh, I don't want to do that. You've changed. Yeah, damn right I've changed. I want to change every 6 months so I'm unrecognizable, because
Yes.
that's how much I care about growth and helping other people, right?
Christina, you said something earlier in the comments about having to reset. And sometimes you do need to reset and reset again and reset again, in order for you to be in the right environment that you need to be in. And sometimes that is taking family away. Sometimes that is stepping away from your best friend. Sometimes that is stepping away from your
I
relationship.
moved to Mexico, dude.
Freaking Christina left the whole country. She was like, I'm out of here. I'm going to Mexico. She's like, I don't want to stay in Canada. I don't even want to go to the United States. We're going to Cabo.
Hey, it's
Okay,
just
so I
the
do
weather,
wanna
and I
ask
also taxes.
Janet was, she's in the Mexican community. So Janet, how were you raised to speak and talk about your feelings?
I think you cut off. Did you say Janet?
Yes, I said Janet Favela.
So my mom till this day, she still says, like, when we're at a restaurant, I'm just talking in my normal voice, and she'll be like looking around. She's like, not everybody has to know everything. Would you be quiet? Like, yes, I was always super loud. Even at the office, we have a joke. Scott's always like, Janet, pray. And I'm like, it's because I pray so well. And everybody's like, it's because you're so loud. Everybody can hear your prayers. So I always do get, called up to say the speeches or to speak for the team or to pray because I am pretty loud. So now all my life I've been told to just keep it quiet, just lower it down, stop yelling. And so that's very much me.
There's a meme that says, don't ever dull your sparkle for somebody else to shine. Don't bring yourself down. And I think that is such true things for everyone. It's all of us here on the show that, we were all set, told to not to talk too much, not to be too much, not to do this too much, not to do that too much. And I don't know about you guys, but I was told that all my life. Oh my gosh, you're a lot. Maybe that's why it took me a long time to find somebody. Poor Paco. But he doesn't ever tell me that. And it's funny. So that's good. That's because he loves me.
You needed to find the right person. That's
I needed to find the right person. And that's what it is. And you have to find the right people in your life not for them to tell you, okay, tone it down a little bit. How about we, whatever. No. Be louder, be more bright, shine more brightly, because those are the people that need help, and those are the people that need us. So you can still grab our book, Be a Glow Stick Girl. Go to beaglowstickgirl.com. It's right here in the comments right here. Today is our bestseller day. Robert, thank you so much for having my girls on here and all day today. Go grab that book. Grab a couple of books if you can, because
Give it to a friend, right? Give it to a friend or a family member that's going through
your
a rough time.
girlfriend. Give it to all those people who told you that you were too much.
Absolutely, Tina, if you don't mind, I'm going to play your little video so we can just do a quick reset, and then maybe when we come back, everyone can kind of throw out just one more thing, one piece of advice that they would like people to either know about them and their story, or just to help, people in general that later on watch the replay or listen to the podcast. So we'll do a quick reset again. Today's episode is sponsored by the book launch of Be a Glow Stick Girl, right? And so they're taking pre-orders now at beaglowstickgirl.com. It's a book of 16 remarkable women that have come together to share their inspiring stories of healing, transformation, and breakthrough, just like a glow stick. And so we'll be back in 10 seconds and we'll kind of, roll things out. If anyone that's watching live has some questions or comments, please throw them in now. If they're not answered live, we will come back around and answer them later on the replays. So we appreciate that. And give me 1 minute to
shine bright.
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 Be a glow stick girl. Oh, our little video. So it is, I know, Robert, you keep saying pre-order. It is available today.
All right. I keep saying pre-order. Okay, excellent. Today
is the launch. You can purchase your copy today on Amazon. Go to beaglowstickgirl.com. It is a hardcover book, which I'm so excited about because it is my first hardcover. I don't know
Congratulations.
about
That's
anybody
awesome.
else, but that is my first hardcover. So I would like to say, what is one thing that you would tell somebody who is in their brokenness right now watching? What would one thing that you would tell them, Starr?
It's going to end. There is light at the end of the tunnel. We've been through so much, all of us here. And again, like, go out and buy the book, Be a Glow Stick Girl. I'm ordering it today. I'm so excited to hear your story and your journey. Just know that, whatever situation you may be facing is temporary.
It is going to end. Janet, I don't know if you heard, but can you tell them if you heard somebody right now, they're listening to this show and they were in that brokenness, what is one thing that you would tell them?
I think I would love to tell them what my mom tells me all the time. Every time I, think I'm like, this is it, I'm gonna die. My mom's like, look, everything in life has a solution. It's set for death. So as long as you didn't, no one's dying. Everything's going to work out. It doesn't seem like it right now. It may seem like it is the end of the world, yet everything has a solution. It might not be the solution you're looking for, you're begging for, or you're praying for, yet there is a solution. And, as long as you're alive, you're winning. So.
Ooh, I love that. Linda, what is one thing somebody's broken right now and that brokenness that you were in, what would you tell them?
I would tell them no matter how many times they have been broken, because we talked about it today, it's sometimes not just that one time. Maybe that one time stands out, but then collectively we can get into this position where we think, this is just the way things are for me. This is just the way my life is. It's not going to ever look like Starr's or Tina's or Janet's or anything like that. It's not meant for me. So what I would say, no matter what your past looks like, no matter what your current circumstances, your life, your future self can look completely different. And you do it by co-creating with those experiences, not turning your back on them, but co-creating with them.
Ooh, I love that. Christina.
Oh man, look, just know that you're not alone. Know that you're not alone. Know that if you have the capacity or dig deep to ask for help, right? So often we think we have to go at it alone. You're not alone. You don't have to do it alone. I remember telling a team member of mine that she was going through something. I said, you don't have to go do this alone. And she instantly started crying. And she's like, but I felt so alone. You are not. And so if you have the courage to ask for help, like, I'm a huge advocate of counseling. I'm a huge advocate of EMDR. Linda shared that she had PTSD. I thought that was only for Army vets, for first responders. I had no idea that my childhood trauma, my teenage years of being bullied could contribute to that, or why I was being triggered by certain things, which is something that you're going to have to live with for the rest of your life. But if somebody can help teach you the tools to overcome those things and give you a system to put in place when you feel a certain way so that you can navigate through it, you don't have to be down in the pit for long. Right? So ask for help.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, all of you guys had amazing things. I think I would tell everybody to get a couple of friends that you can trust and that you can go to anytime. Non-judgmental friends that can just listen and you can vent to, and they'll be like, yes, you want that sympathy too, but you know what, Tina? Okay, now put your big girl panties on and let's get up. And let's go do this because you were made for more. So, you are made for more and don't give up. Because just like Janet said, there is a solution for everything except for death. Robert, you want to take us out? He's like, yeah, I want to take all you guys out.
Yeah.
I thought like take you out, like, like an assassin, but
yeah. Oh yeah. I hear that every day. So
take you all out.
It really has been, again, my privilege to be part of this, just to sit back and to listen and experience. Again, I can't wait. And, and just remember that, most of us feel like when we've been wounded or we have some type of trauma in life, because we all have experienced something, we tend to want to kind of cover that up and to not be vulnerable, to show people these wounds that we have. But, if we pay the right attention to these wounds, and we allow them to heal, right, to become scars, then we can actually use those to guide us into the future, right? To be able to use this to relate to others, to be able to share in those experiences, not necessarily pretending like they didn't happen, but to actually use them to propel us into something else that's just filled with greatness. So I appreciate it. For those, again, beaglowstickgirl.com. You can order your book today. It is a hardcover copy, which is awesome. And I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much.
Shine bright.
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 Be a glow stick, girl.